Okay, so it says the function k is a transformation of the parent exponential function f. What are the domain and range for the function k? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to graph it. So I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to say y equals -2 raised to the x. Okay. And so as you can see, there's sort of the domain are what are the possible x values. So if I scroll out and this goes on forever, there really isn't a restriction on the x. Now it looks like it tapers off here, but honestly, we'll go on forever. It looks like it doesn't go that far, but actually, it grows very. It grows in the negative direction. So the y value gets less and less and less, but the x value I could plug anything in for x. So that could be deceiving. Somebody might think that it stops at 1, but it doesn't. It could go on forever. It's just when you raise a -2 to a million, it's like a very negative number. So anyways, so we're gonna zoom back out to normal. Oops, wrong way. Or zoom back in is what I should say. So you get a graph that looks like this. All right. So there appears to be no restriction on the domain. So for my domain, there appears to be no restrictions. So how would I write that? Well, I could do it like x is an element of the real number system such that it goes from -infinity to infinity. Okay. Now we got to look at the range. Now the range is the possible values. One thing I want to point out though is that in this notation, this is like a lower boundary, my lowest possible x value, and this is like an upper boundary, that's what we call it, which is the highest possible value. So when we go to do the range, we're going to have to do the same thing. Irrational, that's what I said. I misspoke. But anyways, in the notation here, our range is also a rational number or a real number. I can't talk today. But now we got to look at that and figure out what that means. So there is a little bit of a thing here, and we could talk about the algebra behind it, but let's just look at the graph. If you notice, if I zoom in here, it never goes above 0. And the reason for that is because I have this negative number. So technically, let's talk about that. If I have a negative times 2 to the x, which is really what we have written down, right? Whatever I plug in for this, and I could think of this in terms of, let's let the letter u equal 2 to the x. I'm basically going to have minus times u. Well, it doesn't matter. U is always going to be a real number. So that answer is always going to be negative. So that means that y has to be less than 0. Okay? And that's what the graph shows. The graph shows that y will always be less than 0 because you have a negative sign. So it's never going to be positive. And it can never be 0. So that's it on that one.